is out there. The elements, the Ura, you name it. Once the kid done his time, he hurried on home. Turns out his mama's time was done too. The city had nothing for him. The money he'd been sending home was nowhere to be found either. So what'd the kid do? Why, he went right on back to the walls for another 5 years. In the history of Caelondia, nobody's ever volunteered for a second shift on the walls. Out there, kid learned to fend for himself, learn to build, learn to break. In time, the kid earned good standing with the marshals. They trusted him to scout out farther than anybody. One night, on one of his expeditions, the ground beneath him shuddered, cracked, and split apart. He saw nothing. Where the world used to be. The calamity happened just like that. All the kid had to work with was his hammer and the clothes on his back. Through twisted streets, he ran with nothing but the city crest and an old stranger's voice to guide him. finally arrived at Ceylandia's vaunted safe haven. He and no one else. But then, all they got was more thankless work from a man who ain't even asked his name. Sure, I may be the one who dreamt up the walls and the Bastion, but the kid made him real, not me. I'd like to say I'll never forget him, or what he's doing, what he's done. I surely would. Finders keepers. I tried to let the kid down gently. This is the Bastion, all right, except no one else showed up. We all lost loved ones in the calamity, he says. I don't know how I'm gonna go on without mine. We tracked the final core beyond the city to the wilds. The wild unknown. Place can eat a man alive. Place is so raw, even the calamity couldn't cook it. Not all of it. Know what's better than having a slinger pistol in a fight? Having two. Savage things lurking at every turn. Kids faster than a slinger with those guns. Pin cushions ain't the worst of it either. By now, kids got more needles in them than a stab weed. Good thing pin cushions can't see where they're shooting. Pecker's got the core, like they're building a bastion of their own. The welcoming committee scrambles to attention. expect the kid so soon. They shouldn't have let their guard down. Getting that core was one thing. Getting out's gonna be another. He digs his way out of the clearing, but the wilds won't let him go without a fight. Wallflowers survived the calamity. It toughened him up. Same goes for the kid. Best take it real slow when pincushions are afoot. Slinger Jawson's old outpost is all that's left of him. Kid sticks to his old standbys. A handful of windbag shipments made it out this far. Don't ever turn your back on a pincushion. Kid's roused up half the wilds by now. Then Kid gets the feeling he's being watched. Not by me, by a lunkhead. And lunkheads ain't fond of two-legged animals. Hit him anywhere but the hindquarters and you only make him mad. Wild green pineapple's about the only good thing out here. Sees a smooth black stone coughed up by the calamity. Be seeing plenty more. He's anxious to get back. After all, he's got the final core. His journey's over, right? Well, no, it ain't. Not by a long shot. Kid knows something's up when we ain't there to give a warm welcome. See, Zolf and I were just wrapping up a heated discussion. Zolf can barely muster the words. The calamity failed, he says, but I will not. And with that, Zolf leaves us here, alone. Zolf cursed the city, cursed the Bastion, cursed me, said he was going home. When Zolf got through reading that journal, he just snapped, started smashing up the monument till I tried to stop him. Zolf banged up the monument pretty bad. But there's a way to put her back together. The shards. We're gonna need all of them to nurse the Bastion back to health. Takes a lot of moving pieces to make a dependable sidearm. It wasn't fixed, it was unbroken. The city brought the shards to the wilds. Now the kid's gonna bring 'em back. You have to think fast to survive the wilds, and none thought faster than the slingers. They could shoot their pistols with the speed of a machine. They knew just when to start shooting and when to stop. Those pistols could spit out rounds just as quick as you could pull the trigger. Learning to hold your fire could be its own challenge. The slingers were much quicker than the average pistolier. Well, even the slingers weren't quick enough to escape the calamity. After Zolf's little episode, Kid sets off in search of shards. First stop, Jawson Bog. You'll get lost in that bog, I told the kid, and I won't be able to guide you back. Well, I let him go. What else could I do? What could any of us do? Zolf put us in a real bind. Hurt the Bastion bad. But the shards can make it better. They're like smaller doses of the Corps' medicine. Shame the only place to fill that prescription is out here in the wilds. This place is intoxicating. Don't know where he's gone. Might be gone for good for all I know. Wherever he is, it's somewhere I've never been. Somewhere I never want to go. The dead welcome him with open arms. Kid pops him good. That a survivor? No, ma'am. It's a lonesome ghost of a gas fella. What do you say to a kid who's seen too much? I'm Zolf of Ura. Pleased to make your acquaintance. Now the kid sees something stranger still. Did anybody else survive? Sure enough, he finds peckers, lunkheads, wallflowers, pincushions, vine apples, swamp weeds, ankle gators. Now the Bastion can send him even farther into the wild unknown. Kid sets foot inside one of Ceylondia's famous watering holes. He has the nerve to flash the shield he stole. The security's just gonna have to straighten him out. Kid succeeds where the calamity failed. Would you look at what he did to poor old Rondi the bartender? Proper story's supposed to start at the beginning. It's so simple with this one. Now here's a kid whose whole world's alright, snoozing there on a rock in the sky. He wakes up. I'm just fooling. He sees what's left of the rippling walls. Years of work undone in an instant. He sees what's left of Pith, the bull. The gods, they're all undone. He sees what's left of his lifelong friend. His friend, he's come undone too. He sees what's left undone. we'd lost him, but he finally comes to. The Shard ain't lost either. Not anymore. Now to find a ticket out of this hole. Bootlickers dig their nasty thorns into his heels. Ever heard of a lung blossom? It's bigger than the stories say. The breath on that thing, like a scumbag sprung a leak. They say one whiff of lung blossom can make you lose your mind. Well, the kid prunes it down to size somehow. Mother only knows what happened in the bog. Kid never much cared to speak of it. A shard is like a poor man's core, but beggars can't be choosers. That's it. A few more shards like that, and we'll be back in business. A single shard can breathe new life into this place. The shard's got enough juice to spruce up any of these places. Ain't saying much, but that's the greatest forge in all the city. Dread rum's brewed from swamp weeds, so its effect is as bold as its flavor. We ain't much for pleasantries. The city tried to use the shards to stake out the wilds. So much for that plan. Ankle gators used to roam the wilds, and they nested at Rothus Lagoon. Many a tale folks used to scare their children straight originated here. kinds of beasts what don't know up from down, still lurking about. These beasts, they don't like company. Only the city's brushers knew their way around the lagoon. They moved quick and quiet. Even the brushers learned to fear this place. They used to think that ankle gators were extinct. Well, they ain't. One of them's been living in the tall grass. They called her Queen Anne. Turns out Queen Anne got a hold of a shard. Ankle gators love shiny things. Know what smells worse than an ankle gator's breath? A stinkweed. Ain't time for pecker hunting, though the kid can't resist. The lagoon's got plenty of other dangers, of course. Can't fight Queen Anne without the proper tools. They say you can't hurt an ankle gator unless it's raining. And it ain't raining. The brushers use their pikes to keep their distance around here. Now the kid can do the same. Sharp sticks make Queen Anne nervous, so she backs off a bit. Those pin cushions been living off the ankle gator's scraps. Queenie leads the kid into some kind of twisted trap. One bad step in that tall grass and he's Queen Anne's lunch. Bad idea to walk in gator grass. He holds his ground, Seems the Queen's running out of options. Queen Anne can't fit down some of these narrow paths. Still no sign of the shard. The closer you get to an ankle gator's lair, the thicker the tall grass grows. Kid's gotta make a run for it. Those leaping lunkheads don't like Queen Anne any better than the kid. That old gator's right on his tail. Queenie must have scared a bunch of peckers out of hiding. Wanna know how to find an ankle gator lair? You use a kid as bait. Now she's coming for him. She's got nowhere else to go. The shard's sitting in plain view. They say if you run across an ankle gator, you better keep running. She's starting to get annoyed. And now he's made her mad. Rest in peace, Queen Anne. That was for the brushes. Kid's done what needed to be done. Queen Anne's reign is over. We even got a crown jewel. All that trouble for a single shard. But you know what? It was worth it. Seems the gods recommended this place to all their friends. The next shard should be farther out there in the wilds. That ought to give those dueling pistols a little extra kick. The slingers could plug you full of holes faster than you could say draw. The slingers like to edge each other out using customized pistols. Eventually, it all comes down to reflexes. No matter how fast you are, you can always get faster. Know how Caelondia became the richest city in the world? 2 words. Point Lemaine. If the wild could ever be tamed, it was gonna happen right here. The Army's triggers once had the place on lockdown. Kid might as well pick up where they left off. Blam, just like my fighting days. Gun like that can even put the wilds in check. Point Lemaine seen better days for sure, but it ain't done. Whole place shudders in a fit. The grand rail of Point Lemaine. Not only is it still there, it still works. Of course, it's no longer shipping hides and alloys and spices, but it can give the kid a lift. Just as long as he can stay clear of the trouble on the tracks. Grand rails all grown over with things the Calamity chewed up and spat out. Things eager to take back their turf. Kid lets a few of them slip by. Lunkheads settled in like they own the place. Not much wiggle room up there near the rail. Takes fancy footwork on the rail, what with wallflowers coughing fungus everywhere. Only one way to cure a cough like that. Of course, the Grand Rails seen much more fighting in bygone times. Near on 50 years ago, first shots fired in the Ura-Celandian War. It was right here that Zolf's Ura forefathers decided to mix it up. Okay, so maybe we didn't get their sign-off on the whole Grand Rail thing. That was bad. The rail must have shook the Ura to the bone down in those dens of theirs. Well, the rail won't last much longer now that the kid took the shard. It's still got one good run in store for him, though. All the rotten wood there on the rails turning into swamp weed central. Ever tried dancing side to side while holding your breath? While choking on swamp weed? While peckers trying to prick you in the eye? Well, let me tell you, it ain't fun. But then, at last, it's the end of the line. He'll be picking swamp weed out of those boots for days. Turns out he's got company up at the rail station, waiting for him. Not just another wallflower or pincushion, mind you. At first, he thinks it's Zolf. Turns out he's wrong. This is for you, says the man. Then wham! When the kid comes to, the man's long gone, but something else is there. Well, what's a kid to do? He took the shard, he took the hit, and he took that note. That note cuts straight to the heart of things, don't it? Finding gourmet ingredients ain't easy these days, but we'll take what we can get. The note says it plain. Zia, go east to learn the truth about the calamity and our people. I'll be waiting Sincerely, Zulf. It ain't too late to unlock the potential of this place. Zulf's messenger was one of his people. Wondered just how many of them survived, and what exactly Zulf told him. The memorial may be finished, but our part is far from over. They said Queen Anne was just a folktale. Now there's living proof she ain't. That Gator's a crazy gal, but so's the gal who promised to look after her. Kid arrives just in time to sample Zia's famous cooking. He wolfs down too much too fast, and it all goes to his head. I've said a lot about the kid, but he ain't the only one wrapped up in all this. What's he thinking? Let me see if I got this straight. I only heard it once. Once there was a normal Ura girl, but she wasn't born in the Tassel terminals like the rest of her people. She was from Celandia. Her folks were orphaned in the war, taken in and raised inside the city, on condition they would never return to the terminals. Ura refugees who came into the city had to stay for life. It was a way to reduce the risk of city secrets leaking out. Her mama passed away from birthing complications, leaving the girl trapped inside that city with no one but her father. Her father was sharper than a brusher's pike, so he got a job working for the city's mancers. His daughter barely saw him. Her father told her nothing of her Ura heritage. He told her nothing of the Mancers. It's for your own good, he said. She took to studying the arts, learned more through music than history books, gained a knack for strings and songs. At first, she tried to be like other girls, but her classmates spread word that her father was an Ura trader, selling out the city. One young man stood up for her, or so he led her to believe. He knew much of her heritage, and she grew fond of him. The young man convinced her to take him to her family den to meet her father. Spoke of how he wanted to meet a man from the terminals. When the young man greeted her father in the Ura's native language, her father flew into a fit of rage and threw them out. The young man never told her that the Ura's native language is not to be used by foreigners. To do so is a terrible insult. It was then that she decided to escape. The two of them could flee the city together and go to the Tassel terminals. They would hide inside a garbage bin until it got ingested by a scumbag, then let him slosh on out of the city for disposal. Now, where were we? Her plan almost succeeded, but the authorities were already there when that scumbag sidled up to the city walls. The young man had sent the authorities a tip, told him her father was using it to sell secrets to the Tassel terminals.
Build that city on a hill. Gonna build that city on a hill. Someday those tears are gonna spill.
She and her father were arrested for treason, but her father got a deal. Return to work for the Mansers, and she'd go free.
Strong we'll be there before too long. And build that wall up to the sky. Gonna build that wall up to.
Before they parted ways for the last time, her father whispered a desperate plea. Hurry home to the den and lock yourself in.
Gonna build that wall until it's done. Gonna build that wall until it's done. But now you got nowhere to run. So build that wall and build it strong, 'cause we'll be there before too long.
She did as she was told, and deep down underground inside that den, she found a journal written in her father's hand.
I dig my hole to build a wall. One day that wall is gonna fall. Gonna build that city on a hill. Gonna build that city on a hill.
The next day, the door to the den turned to ash. The girl came up for air, and she saw the calamity all around her. When the kid wakes up, his world's still in pieces, just the way he left it. The shards are getting harder to find. Not everything blew up in the calamity. Why Colford Cauldron here blew up way ahead of its time. The cauldron boiled over some 300 years ago. They say it filled the skies with ash and the lakes with molten rock. If you wanted to survive something like that, you had to learn to adapt. So in a way, the beasts of the wilds, they're all survivors too. It takes a certain stubborn pride to keep on living in a place like this. As for us, we learned an awful lot from Colford Cauldron. That learning led to some interesting inventions. The raw power of the world fell right into our hands. Playing with the cauldron's fires became an addiction. Sure, we dusted off a good many secrets out here. But we discovered other things we're better off not knowing. The unforgiving scent of sulfurous dirt. The taste of air so hot it sticks to your lungs. All sorts of awful things crawling underfoot. You can cook those things, but you can't eat them. Never thought we'd find so much life in all that ash. The more ash we swept aside, the more life we found. Place as inhospitable as they come. But still we pressed on. After all, when we looked down inside Colford Cauldron, looked down through all the smoke and flames, we saw in there the heart of the world. The heart now laid bare by the calamity. We had to have it. As for the kid, he just has to get that shard out of there. Too bad taking that thing woke up every last stink eye from here to Charleston Bog. Kid's thinking he's got to trek all the way back around the cauldron. Luckily, the cauldron cooked up a little shortcut for him. Sure, it ain't the most convenient path. Biggest stink eye he's ever seen's waiting for him on the other side. Well, it ain't polite to stare. And where there's one stink eye, there's always more. The cauldron's tenants all gather up to bid the kid a fond farewell. Kid don't shed any tears for him, though. With a good spyglass, you can still see the cauldron from the city. But all the fires died out. There's nothing left of it. It comes back looking like the inside of a chimney. The shard works like a charm. You can hear the monument's heartbeat again. We need an awful big lost and found under the circumstances. We're all a little short on friends these days, so that's a welcome sight. Nothing subtle about those guns, but maybe that's the point. They said the wild could never be tamed. If only they could see us now. The slingers, the wilds were their calling. The culture, a still life of old unwanted keepsakes. Now he can shoot that fang repeater all day long. Takes a careful touch to rattle those bones like that. spotted a pecker carrying a shard to Mount Zan. Master trappers got what they needed for a better hunt. The trappers would have been impressed with how the kid handled the shingle. Can't rightly call Mount Zan a mountain anymore. There's no more mountains now. There's no place left for the beasts of the wild to go. So they figure they'll hold out right here, on a slab of mountain the Calamity forgot. Good thing for those beasts the Calamity saved leftovers. We only found their little lair because they found themselves a little shard. The creatures of the wild, they've been building a bastion of their own. Best thing we can do for those beasts right now is put them down quick and clean. It's a delicate situation. There's only one kind of mercy left these days. Look at it this way, it's either them or us. But if we win, they win too. Our bastion is everybody's gain, not just ours. Takes a lot of convincing, and our mortars have to do the talking. Unfortunately, there's no explaining that to a simple beast. Those beasts been hard at work fixing up the place. They've rounded up their survivors, just like we have. They've been searching for cores and shards, just like we have. Maybe they've thought about turning back, just like we have. We just really need their shard. Kid got it fair and square. That's the way. He's done what's best for him, don't you worry. Don't you worry. We'll all be better off once the Bastion is complete. The monument's getting better. Zolf sure did a number on it, though. Just the occasion to crack open the distillery's private reserve. Where whiskey has no scent, but tastes like a peppered boot heel, it's not for everyone. Doesn't hurt having a couple of trusty old guns on hand. Just a couple shards left. The quarry's gotta have one, right? Imagine everything you'd need to build a city like Zealandia. It takes hard work and planning, and it also takes Bastion quarry. The Ura tunnels beneath the quarry must have softened the blow from the calamity. We bought the whole place from the Ura on the cheap. Same goes for its natives, rattletails. Rattletails ain't the worst of it either, but more about that in a little bit. The quarry came with a lifetime supply of windbags. Windbags smaller than the naked eye can see are nested in those rocks. But there was even more to it than that. Not only are these rocks a source of life, we found that the oldest ones remember things. They're recording everything, all the time, taking it all in. No wonder all those beasts were drawn to the quarry. The rocks were calling them. Keeping the quarry free from pests turned out to be a problem. Windbags tended to the rocks, so we had to keep the rattletails at bay. Rattletails kept tunneling in to snack on windbags. Without those windbags, the quarry might not have its special qualities. Even stink eyes started taking root in here. Now, why would the Ura sell off such a fascinating place? The Ura always were a superstitious lot. Might be the gods told them the quarry's bad news. On top of that, you know the Ura hated anything above ground. Might be the quarry just got too much sunshine for their liking. In any case, it's fair to say the quarry was a godsend. Those rocks, all polished to a mirror sheen. The largest ones, you know as cores. Single core can keep the lights on in an entire city district. The smaller ones, we call them shards. A shard's got a fraction of a core's power, enough to fuel a voyage to the motherland. Well, now the quarry's all dried up. These rocks are much too young to be of use. Remember how I said rattletails ain't the worst thing in the quarry? That honor goes to a beast we took to calling Sir Lunky. Massive things stomped many of our boys. We just couldn't get rid of him. The only thing harder than the rocks in Bastion quarry is Sir Lunky's head. His big fat rump's plenty tough too, but so is a kid. Hard times in the quarry these days. We never could get stubborn old Lunky to leave the quarry alone. Then the kid hears a voice calling from down the hall. "Are you all right?" it says. It's him. "I've come to warn you," he says. "The Bastion is under siege. Let it fall. You should not go back." Kid hears him, but he ain't about to be deterred. "If that's the way it is," he says, "then I won't stop you. Because my countrymen will." Say what you will about Zulf, but he's a man of his word. His countrymen don't much care for pleasantries, though. Too bad for that. Zulf showed him the way here, and here they came to take revenge. They got inside the Bastion and shut the door. Kid's gotta go in through the back. I should have told him sooner about all this. To make matters worse, seems the Ura took the girl. Unfortunately, they broke in, and they started digging their holes. Something wrong sprung out of those holes, and it's eating away at this place. We tried to stop them, but we needed help. Somehow, some way, he sends those Ura packing. Problem is, it didn't matter. Zolf's plan worked. We find each other as the dust settles. Then I tell him why the Ura came. To get us back. For the calamity. It was Caelondia's master plan to wipe the Ura out. But part of that plan backfired, didn't it? If only Zolf knew the whole story. What were we to think? They must have got her, taken her back to her rightful home. The shards can put this disease in remission, but there's only one cure. We need to finish what we started. The arsenal's complete, in case we need protection. Now all we need is one last shard. The sanctuary. If we can build, we can rebuild. The conscience. We haven't lost everything, long as we have that. The mercy. The windbags ain't the only beast that drew a bad lot. Now we're looking at some serious firepower. Kid packs a special surprise in every one of those arrows. His bow's looking lean and mean like a prize fighter. The inspiration, a forge can fashion anything. The city, its riches nothing but fragments now. Sometimes I want to ask him, why do any of this? But truth is, I don't want to know. Arrows like that can practically find their own way. Ain't that the finest breaker's bow you ever seen? The Ura swooped down from the east. At least now we know the way. Kid ain't had enough of the breaker's barracks. Takes practice, and a mighty strong bow helps too. He's feeling real proud of that show. I almost don't believe it when he says he passed the Breaker's challenge.